Hi, and thanks for joining me on another video. I'm basically helping you with the journey of companies, self-employment, and you've got a little business that's actually doing quite well. I've been through that journey myself, and I'm making a number of these videos to help you along the way. Should you have a bank account for your self-employed little company? So this is along the lines of, do you need a business account? Can you have a normal bank account? There's a lot of little grey areas around this. I've worked with NatWest in the past, and that was a long time ago, about 10 years now. And we used to have a number of new accounts that we used to open. A lot of people used to open business accounts for businesses, but if you're a limited company, you definitely need a business account. What about if you're just doing a bit of Etsy selling, a bit of baking and cake selling, or selling on eBay, you're making a little bit of money? It's actually okay to have a normal bank account and to use that for those types of transactions. The main area that gets a bit more grey is if you're doing a number of transactions on different countries, because that's where having a business account, things like a certain amount of transactions you can have, there's fees involved, all those things. So you don't want to have an account to bypass that. So check the bank's terms and conditions. You can normally check on a website, NatWest, you can check on Starling Bank, you can check on Tide. There's a number of different accounts you can get online. Just see what their terms say about business usage. And if you've got, like, say, for example, in a year, you only do like 15 to 20 transactions, that's not as bad as having one that does 15 or 20 transactions every month or every day. That's definitely going to be a business account. So what are some pros and cons of having a business account for your self-employment? It's going to be a big one. I did a whole video about should you be self-employed and is it worth getting registered. There's loads of guidelines about how much you earn, things like that. So I covered that in the other video. You can check that out in the cards. So the main thing here is the bank account. You want a separate bank account from yourself. So you have your own home bills, your internet, broadband, you've got things that you pay for like insurance, mobile phones, all those things. That's your own bank account. If you can open up a secondary account with your existing bank, NatWest let you do this. So you can have like a current account, you can open a second current account alongside your current account. It gives you a new account number and sort code and a new card. So then you can use that just for your business activity, you're self-employed. So it's not really a registered business like a company, but you're acting as a company in your own name, which you're basically buying things. So for example, you're buying pens, you're buying a bit of the old Bitcoin. Well, don't buy Bitcoin. Well, that's a whole new topic. I can't just say that, but that's a whole new topic. Think about it. So you're buying something of value, you're buying a gold coin and you're selling it like that'd be classed as novelty, won't it? So yeah, I'll call it a novelty coin. I won't say gold coin because that's gold. That's like different. So a novelty coin you're buying and you're selling. So you buy 100 novelty coins and then you sell them on. I would buy these with my account focused on what my business is. So I have a secondary current account. I buy these, buy 100 for £100. So then that is an item that I spent money on in my bank account. That's the only item in there. I go and buy food, I buy other stuff, I pay for my mobile phone, I use my own bank account. But when it's registered or related to the business, I use the business bank account, which is technically a normal current account. That's okay to do, providing you check with the bank's terms and conditions. And most banks don't worry about that unless you have thousands of transactions, which then you would need to have a business account for. And with banks, you can actually, I'll show you a few just so you can have a look at what types of accounts they are and what account I use. So touching a bit more on the banking side of things, because I used to work for NatWest. I had a NatWest business account, like a staff account. That was a long time ago, about 10 years ago. So don't take any of my advice as being like 100%. However, having worked in the financial sector, I kind of look at the rules and make sure that you're in compliance with the rules. So for example, a NatWest account, I had a NatWest Gold account and I had a NatWest current account. The gold one I used to use only for my company related things. So like if it's buying stuff, maybe in a year, the most amount of stuff I must have bought is like 10 items or 11 items, as in like high value items like cameras and computers relating to the self-employment. So that wasn't that bad. However, if you look at their terms and conditions, if you're spending regular money and doing transactions, then you need to think about having a business account, which then has fees associated with it. especially if it's like the big banks, NatWest, Barclays, there are some costs involved. However, when I was self-employed, I got to about 4 years, I think it was, and it was doing okay. So then I thought, you know what, I need to look at becoming a limited company. And then I created a business account with Starling Bank. And the reason I did that was it was registered in the company's name. Remember, when you're creating a company, it becomes a different entity. So that it's not you. You're working for the company. Even though you're a director or a managing director, the company is a separate entity, stands on its own. So that's like an important thing to understand. Banking wise, there's a few other ones out there like Tide offer a few accounts. That's a newer one. I don't really know how well they perform. I've not used them. I've used NatWest and I've used Starling, which is why I've shown you those. Not sponsored or anything. It's just that's who I use. So let's have a look a little bit more about this and find out what is something that you need to think about when you're doing this. So that was a little bit of an overview, but let's look at it in more detail. Should you use a personal account for your business if you're a sole trader? If you're a sole trader, you and your sole tradership is part of the same thing really. So you're okay using your personal account. As soon as you got like a joint company or something, that's when you definitely need a company account. And with company accounts, you get a few extra perks, things like you can link it into other accounts like QuickBooks and managing software to help you, because then you're going to have more transactions. So in essence, as an overview, yes, you can use your own account for your own sole trading. If you're doing too many transactions, check with the bank if it's okay. You don't want to be caught out in that, because at the end of the year, it will be very easy for you to do. You're going to simply go into your account. I've got NatWest, for example. I've got my own gold account and a current account. I'll go into the current account, get a year's worth of statements, check the ins and the outs. How much did I spend on stuff? How much did I make? Because everything goes into that one account. And that basically helps you at the end of the tax year when you're filling out your documents, because you're putting in your income and your expenditure, and that helps you. And especially if you're using fuel and things like that related to the journey, you can actually have up to a certain amount of fuel, like 45 pence a mile, but you need to look at that as a company. But that's giving you an overview. Should you use your bank account? Yeah, definitely worth looking at. And also your next step is going to be, when you're doing really well, you're going to get a limited company and you're going to set up an account in your company name. So I've done a number of these videos. You can check the next one out here, which is part of the small business series, kind of helping you becoming a small seller to slowly becoming a company. I've now had my limited company for a year, which is why I've started making these videos to help other people, because it's worth knowing. A lot of this stuff I knew, a lot of the accountants locally didn't know. So I'm going to look at accountants as well. So next we can look at accounts. Have a look at that.